There you go. As I said, it is amazing that you're here, and thank you so much for being here. This is Paul Dunn, live right at B1G1 headquarters, where it is 20 past 8, actually, on a Thursday morning, but I'm wondering what time it is where you are, wherever you are. Thank you so much for being a part of this. This is CONECT PLUS, where we delve into some very interesting things. In fact, why don't I just tell you, just by sharing my screen again, what we are going to be doing on our time together today. So let me just jump up into share screen, and I will tell you exactly that. Here we go. Let's have a look. I've got so many buttons on my screen, but hopefully they're all coming through. Here is kind of like agenda for the day, if you will. So we are going to be starting off talking with, as we always do, with about 5 minutes or so of the power of small, how these tiny, tiny things that we can do in our businesses really do have amazing impact, as you'll see. And we're going to meet some interesting people today when we talk about that as well. Then we're going to get into Masami's update, which is really, really cool stuff, bringing you up to date with all of the brand new things that are happening in B1G1. And Masami, I think, will be taking us live up to the web as well. So stay tuned for that, and make sure you're glued to your screen as well. Until you've glued to your screen, do stay tuned all the way through, because right at the end, there's a very, very special B1G1 surprise. So do look out for that, coming up in about 35 minutes from now, because this is 35 fast-paced minutes. And we would love it to be as interactive as you can. So wherever you are on the Zoom chat, I'm not sure that you could do this on Facebook, those of you joining us on Facebook, but on the Zoom chat, you'll see you've got a button or several buttons like that. You can use the Q&A if you have a question for the team. But what we'd actually love you to do, there's the Q&A right there, we'd actually love you to use the chat. And we'll get you used to doing that right now, because we'd love to know, make this as interactive as we can. So we'd love to know whereabouts are you, and of course we'd love to know that it's coming through loud and clear. And because there are so many people who've been joining B1G1 in these last couple of months, it may well be your first time. So do let us have a look at that on the chat. Just hit the chat button, let us know where you are, let us know that it's coming through loud and clear, and let us know whether or not this is your first time. So go ahead and do that. Thanks already for doing that. And whilst you're doing that, what we're going to do, let's do this. We are going to look, as I said, at the huge power of small, but we are going to talk in a moment about Cambodia. Now, what is this power of small about? Well, if you've been here before, you would know that we talk about a lot of things. For example, pricing. We talked about acknowledging in session 2, way back when. Then this one was really popular, where we talked about some ideas around presenting, and we talked about business building in session 4. 5, we looked at some interesting ideas in signage. Then, of course, the power of small in giving, which of course is what B1G1 is all about. BE, by the way, stands for behavioral economics. That was a really, really popular episode as well, where we talked about that in pricing. Then some ideas to talk about best in the world, and a little thing called Boom, featuring a guy called Paul Jackson in the United Kingdom. And then we talked about words and spirit on section 9, and then playing a bigger game. And then the one before last, just before the end of last year, was kind of interesting. We visited on the, not physically, but virtually, we visited a couple of places, one of which was the Hyatt in Miami. And I think there are some people in Miami joining us right now, where we talked about purpose front and center. But today, oh, by the way, if you would like to get access to all those previous ones, then just put that up on the chat and say, yes, please, could you send me the links to all of those things? And we'll be very, very happy to do that. And they're really, really excellent little pieces, by the way. So do let us know on the chat that you'd like to get some of those. But where are we going on session 12? We are going to look at this. Now, as you look at that, you probably think, goodness me, they've made a spelling mistake this morning. No, we actually haven't. It's not meant to be persuasion. It's actually meant to be persuasion. And we're going to have a look at some brand new ideas from Robert Cialdini that influence a lot of the things that we can do. But first, we just put up a video. I just wanted you to have a quick look at it, because it's going to be valuable for some ideas coming up later, where we were on the B1G1 study tour in Cambodia. So just before we see the video, you're going to see some really exciting things. You're going to see what happens when we deliver some bicycles, and how that frees kids who might have to travel some 20 kilometers to get to school. You're going to see the impact that water has. You're also going to see how we visit a place called Salabai, which is an amazing place, which takes kids from families whose yearly income, say it correctly, Paul, is less than $300, and they teach them to be unbelievable in the hospitality industry. And we, of course, because we're B1G1, we get access behind the scenes, and you can see some interesting things there. Then I think oh yes, you're going to see what happens at an amazing circus, where they take right now about 1,200 kids off the street, and they turn some of them into amazing circus performers, like Cirque du Soleil. And we went backstage, if you will, to have a look at that. And again, really, really moving. And then finally, we got to talk with some students and actually mentor some students. So we put that all together in a 3-minute clip. Have a look at this. I think you'll love it. Here we go.
So I was very lucky being able to come on this tour. The country, the people, there's a lot of warmth here. Everyone can do something, and it really does make a difference.
Appreciate what we have, and also appreciate how they received us and how happy they were, and to open up their world to us.
We hopefully bring happiness to these children and families, and it makes us happy as well. So it's giving and taking.
No matter how much hardship that they go through and have, they always have a smile on their face, and they always want to give back themselves. You think you're coming and you're giving, but actually you get so much more back, and that's what I didn't expect.
We have gained another world view, gained a lot of respect for the things that people are doing here. We also gain a lot of friendship from the people that's actually coming together, right, from all over the world, just to do our part.
Wow.
Peace.
Appreciation.
Happiness.
Fulfilling.
As I said at the end there, check that impact. Isn't that just amazing? And I hope as you watch that, let me just change my slide for a second. As you watch that, I hope that you thought, wow, I wish I could have been there. Let us know up on the chat what you thought about all of that in Cambodia. We'd love to get your feelings, just as we got the feelings from the people who were able to join us. But now let's get back to the first part of our CONECT PLUS, which, of course, as I mentioned, is all about the power of small. We're going to talk about this thing, as I mentioned, called persuasion. Where does that come from? Well, it's actually the title of a book that came out about 4 months ago by Robert Cialdini. You may remember Robert from his really excellent work called Influence. And he describes this as a revolutionary way, kind of interesting, to influence and persuade. It is a great book, by the way, one that you might want to get a look at. Let me show you a couple of ideas from this. He says that the highest achievers spent more time, that's what he discovered in his quest, crafting what they did and said. Now, the critical word here is before making a request. And he gives us a nice analogy or metaphor. They said about their mission as skilled gardeners who know that even the finest seeds will not take root in stony soil or bear fullest fruit in poorly prepared ground. And right up front, he gave a really interesting example of how this happened. Now, the book is just full of I was going to say hundreds, and that's true, hundreds upon hundreds of well-researched examples. But he actually starts off with quoting this one. And this may have happened to you where someone has approached you and said, would you like to do a survey, or however it is they ask? And they found that when they asked a question like that, could I ask your help in completing a survey, please? That what you would get, if you were going pretty well, was a 29% response. And then by applying these persuasion ideas and asking something before you ask for the real thing, for example, would you consider yourself a helpful person? And then people pause, ask that question, and have a look at what happens with persuasion in place. Look at that. 3 times pretty much, or 2.5 times, I guess, the response. And what's interesting is we've been actually doing that unwittingly, in a sense, in some ideas within the people who we're very privileged to, who are lifetime partners in B1G1 and who we get to mentor. Here is one of them. This lady is called Therese Bridget. She is a chiropractor and she's in Brisbane. And she's been in B1G1, I guess, about 2 months now. And she talks about how it's been an amazing experience for her. And in particular, on this clip from one of our mentoring sessions, she talks about this idea of persuasion. Have a listen to this. I think you'll get value from it. And then after you listen, we'll explain what's going on
And
here.
what I found was the connection was deeper. It was so deep that I was a bit blown away, and I kind of didn't know how to react.
And what was the key to that depth?
I feel so the 4 things. So what I was saying was whoever referred them. So Paul, say David referred you, and depending on how the referral was, I said, this is really important. So I was thinking about you, and I've written down 4 things. And the first thing that I want to and so I'm literally doing it. I'm doing it how you told me to do it. And it has blown me away. And so much so that they're more engaged because I'm taking them through the process. So I get the process and I love the process. So that's what's happening. So
wow.
What do you think?
I think that's awesome.
So it's the 4 things. And then it's what I would, before we start, what I would just love to tell you is the reason why it is I do what I do.
So wait there. So you're going through the 4 things.
Yeah.
How does that sound? That sounds great. Yeah. Before we start, let's do that. Oh.
Now this is the interesting thing, Paul.
Now, there you go. This is the interesting thing. Now, you're probably wondering, what are these 4 things that she does? Well, the 4 things that she does, I'm going to explain them right like this. What happens is, and by the way, these are not 4 things that just she does. These are 4 things that a lot of people have been trialing, and it works really, really well for them. And now Cialdini has given us, if you like, a label for it. So let me tell you what actually happens. So if you go in, for example, to Therese, then she'll obviously do some rapport building, and then she will literally say, this is quite important. And so to prepare for this, I took some notes. I wrote down some things that I thought we might be able to achieve in our time together today. Is it okay if I run through those things? And everybody says yes. And she literally brings out her notepad and she says, well, first of all, I would love to get your answers to some key questions. Now, please notice the way that's said. It's not said, I'm going to ask you some questions. It says, I'd love to get your answers to some key questions. And then have a look at this. That means I'm going to be spending most of my time up front here listening and taking notes, if that's okay with you. In fact, she's done even more than this now. She actually asks if it's okay to record the interview as well, or the consultation. And then she's going to say, based on that, based on your answers, then I'm going to outline some ideas for you. and then going to get your reaction to those ideas. It's sounding okay so far. It's sounding great, they say. Well, and then based on that, and based on your reaction, then what we will do is we'll make a plan for the next steps. And of course, if that reaction is very positive, then those next steps might well be you undertaking a program with us right here at the clinic. And she says what's happened is, as you heard her say, it really deepens the relationship. And because it deepens the relationship and because it significantly increased the trust, then have a guess what's happened to Teresa's bookings. And she literally said yesterday, it has been amazing. So some ideas for you around persuasion. There you go. So that's the huge power of small. Hope you got some value from that. If you have some questions, put them up on the Q&A or on the chat. We'd love to hear from you on that. So there you go. We'll put a tick on the power of small. And now we are going to get ready. And I think we're going to go live, actually, to Masami and Masami's update. So Masami, if I stop my share right there, and probably I need to turn off my microphone, I would suggest, because, and you know, if this was like a live thing, as in physically live, we'd all applaud. So ladies and gentlemen, here is Masami Sato.
Thank you for coming online today. Yeah, so normally what I do in this section is to give you some updates from B1G1, the recent one, and then normally we may have 3 updates. So let's just get in. So the first item is this, and you may have seen this graphic somewhere, or could be on B1G1, but it could be somewhere else. Paul, do you have something to say about this?
Yes, I do. These are really, really fascinating things, these global goals. And how they came about was on July, I think it was, in 2015, when the UN announced this brand new thing called the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, or simply the Global Goals. But it wasn't the UN that announced them. I mean, they were there. It was actually people like Sir Richard Branson, Paul Polman from Unilever, and so on, business people. And what Branson said is really, really significant. He said, I'm really thrilled to be here announcing these, because typically when we have a United Nations body talk about global goals, then it's all about governments and governments signing on to do certain things. He said that is not what this is about. For the very first time, the world body has acknowledged that it's businesses that actually make the difference in our world. And that's one of the reasons why, as Masami is going to tell you right now, that we have implemented the global goals right in the middle of B1G1. So there you go, Masami.
Okay, so this is, you may be familiar with, well, I'm sure you are familiar with this B1G1 project list. So you can see, as usual, the search box up here. How we added UN's Sustainable Development Goal is this. So if you click on the advanced search button right here, then now you can see a new drop down called Sustainable Development Goals. If you click on here, then you can see all of the items from the SDG. And let's say we do a search based on that. And then if you want to give to those projects based on what you know, and how you want to make a difference, then you can do the giving. Or if you could just click on the project to see these little icons, and some projects might show couple of different icons. That may not be just one, but when you do mouse over or click on the icon, you can actually find out more. So let's click and see what happens. So here on B1G1 website, we created this page, which shows the SDG icons, but then underneath each of the icons, you can see actually right now how many projects B1G1 have already, and also how many impacts the B1G1 members have already created. So, and then this is dynamic, so you can see these numbers change. Another thing you may notice that in some of the goals, we have already a lot of projects, or we have created a lot of impacts, but then some other areas you may see just a few projects, or so what this is for us to really see where we are at. And then if you realize that, well, actually I would be really keen to contribute toward this goal, but currently B1G1 doesn't have so many projects, then it's also your opportunity to think about, what kind of organizations and projects that we can bring into the B1G1 community. So you and many other business owners can be contributing and making a difference in new ways as well. So yeah, so this page is accessible from the project page. This is actually still stage 1, because stage 2, because now you can start giving based on the SDG goals. But stage 2 is to visualize this, impact statistics in the way that really makes your giving even more meaningful. So how can we display the impact statistics on your, giving account, or it could be that you may have some ideas about how that can be communicated with your community, your network as well. And then yesterday when we were doing another CONECT PLUS, we received ideas oh, what about the widget? Can we have a widget to show this in a creative way? So what I would love you to think about is, if you had any ideas around this and how can we do this even better, then please do let us know, and we would love to be developing the next direction of how we can be even more aligned with the global goals to make an impact and inspire and influence more businesses out there as well. So that was the first update. So now we're going to go to the second update. The second update is this. Okay. Let's see. Can you see the image? So we just saw the B1G1 study tour video, and I'm sure you could see, the smiles and how we were having great time, but also experiencing the deep sense of connection and the impact that are actually created on the ground. So it is a fantastic experience, and so many people have already been saying, asking us, so where is the next study tour and when is it happening? I would love to come, or we would love to send our teams, consider sending our teams to this special experience. So right now we have some good ideas and we would love to invite you to come on board, but we are not announcing it just yet. So if you thought, wow, second one is the announcement of study tour, then it's not. So I will show you something else. Okay. So this is the B1G1 Business for Good conference this year. And last year we did our very first Business for Good conference in Bali. And the reason why we started to do conference was that the study tour is a really great experience to experience the impact on the ground. But yeah, it will take quite long time away from business too. So and then also we can only accommodate a relatively small group of people, because we cannot take hundreds of people to visit the project on 10 buses, or so we cannot do that. So we thought, what if we could provide experience like this for business people to really come together to think about how we can create a greater impact, but also to learn from each other in terms of maximizing our business impact. And then we decided to do the first one in Bali, which was the initial birthplace of B1G1. And then everybody who was at the first event said it was the first, not first, but the best business conference they had ever been to. And these were the people who have been to many conferences in the past. So that was how inspiring and amazing that experience was. So we thought about this because this year is a very special year. This year actually is the 10th anniversary of B1G1. So we are celebrating this really great milestone together. And then we thought, okay, it would be great to do the conference. Shall we do it again in Bali? Because it was so good. And then actually we thought one step further and then decided to do this. So this year we are coming to you because it may not be so easy for everybody to travel all the way to Bali or another location one place from where you are. So we are hosting this event in 3 locations. The first one, we are starting in US, in Miami, and actually the week of 23rd, this is the official B1G1 anniversary. So we will be starting there, and then week after we will have a one in UK, Birmingham, and then 1 week later we will be going to Gold Coast, Australia. So we would so love to have you there. The reason why I started with study tour and then flipped to the conference is because Business for Good conference is where we actually announce and launch, many exciting initiatives, and B1G1 Study Tour official announcement is going to be there as well. And the people who are there would have their kind of preferred booking opportunity. So if you are interested in doing more with your business to get engaged in this giving world, then please make sure that you are available on those dates and book the early bird ticket, which is available right now. And yeah, you can also be inviting your friend. Paul, do you have anything to say?
Unmute myself there. There we go. Yes, I do. Thank you. By the way, thank you for that update. It's really, really cool. And indeed, all of the options that we're considering for the tour are all going to come to a peak on the conference days. And as Masami said, we can't take everybody, so there's going to be a squeeze, I think, at the conference. All the people that want to come when they know what the destination will be, because I know there are a couple of really, really exciting options. But what I wanted to say too, you just mentioned briefly friends coming, and when we first started, the idea on the conference was that it would only be B1G1 people, because it is special to be a B1G1 person, right? And then the B1G1 people were booking, said, oh, can I bring my friend? They're not yet B1G1, but they're kind of looking at it, and this might help. So let's see, about 10 days ago, we said, okay, now we've capped the number of friends that can come. But when you go to the link that Masami has very kindly put up there right now, bit.ly, bit.ly, /B1G1, all lowercase, B1G1 Conference 17. Then that's where you can book, for your team. There are special team tickets, and where you might choose to bring some guests as well. So is that what you wanted me to say, Masami? I hope it was.
Sure, thank you, Paul. Yeah, so this is the second update. Yeah, and then don't worry about memorizing this full link, because we will be sending you the link after the call as well, so you could click to do the registration too. All right, now the third item, which is this one. So you know that in the world of B1G1, we talk about the impact quite a lot. So just yesterday, we hit the 97 million giving impact. And it's all about all of us coming together, and individually what we do with our business may not be like so huge in the context of the global issues that we are trying to tackle. But at the same time, when we come together, and all sort of different businesses come together and then create the giving habit. So it's not just that like we do this once off, or we just run one campaign for the year, but imagining all the businesses creating the giving habit and continuing to give, then actually when we look back, we can say, hey, like the impact we created is actually huge. So this is the significance. So thank you for contributing toward this. And then it means we are really counting down and counting up to the 100 million giving impacts we've been so eager to see since last year. So actually, it's really, really close now. And then we were thinking about, so how can we celebrate this great milestone and also express our huge gratitude to every one of you. We decided to build something toward it. And then now we are nearly ready to go, because the impact clock is also counting up and it's nearly ready to go. So here is the surprise associated with number 3 update. Impact Now app. So you may have heard the rumor that we've been building this app, but without me explaining too much about what this app does. But one thing you should know is that this app is designed just for you, as in B1G1 businesses and your team members, because team can also have this on their phone, and then to bring the giving experience, like how you incorporate the giving in your business much closer to your what you do every day with your phone. So we are nearly ready, and we will be uploading the final app to the app stores very soon. But before we do so, we wanted you to have the opportunity to get involved too. So if you are interested in this and want to be one of the very first testers, to have the special test link and then experience it and then give us your feedback or share your ideas, then we would love you to volunteer. And if you do want to do that, then please just drop me an email to masami@b1g1.com. Then I will be giving you a little bit of information, and then so that you can have the special access, because nobody can get this right now. But if you want to do the test, then you can. So here's the email address, and but all about today's update, you'll be receiving an email later on with the links and the information and so on. So don't worry, but we would so love to have your input in the future development of B1G1. Yeah. So those were the 3 updates from me for this call. Thank you, Paul.
Masami, thank you. And by the way, I'll mute myself. So, as I was saying, up there on the chat just a moment ago, someone said, will there be an Android version? And so the answer to that question is yes. And we would love you to register to be a tester. Obviously, we have been using this as we've been developing it. And I can tell you that when it is on your phone, it is going to be one of the most, how can I put it? People are going to be envious of what you can do on your phone. There's all sorts of fascinating things that you can do with B1G1. So as Masami said, we are trying to get this ready for the 100 million. By the way, if you've got some ideas as to how we might celebrate additionally the 100 million, do let us know. But do write to Masami if you would love to be a tester. And Masami, if you would just stop your screen share for a minute, that would be kind of useful too. There we go. Hey, thank you. I always think that there should be an applause meter up on Zoom, and you to take us through all of those stuff, the SDGs, the impacts, and the tour and everything. It's just very special. So Masami, on behalf of everybody who's here, thank you. You do that awesomely well. And on behalf of me, thank you for joining us. This has been the first today, by the way, the first time that obviously lots of things we've spoken about, but also the first time that we have actually gone live on Facebook. So I have no idea what's happened with that, but we're going to find out afterwards when we do the recording and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for all the notes from us. And again, thank you so much, whatever time of the day it was that you were here. Thank you so much for being here. We really, really love you being here. And I don't mean just here on B1G1 Connect Plus. I mean here as part of this amazing world of B1G1. Thank you, everybody. Stay tuned for more. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.